Season of Peace. Now, I've been teaching the Season of Peace for almost 20 years. And it started in a group of Unity ministers, and actually with Arun Gandhi, the son of Martin Luther King, the wife of Martin Luther King, and other New Thought churches. They took a train from Alabama to California. And Michael Beckwith, who Angela loves to listen to, was part of that group. They started a series of talks on Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King and how their thoughts and actions wove together. I talked last week about how Martin Luther King's mentor at Morehouse College had studied with Mahatma Gandhi, actually lived in India with Mahatma Gandhi, and brought those principles back to Morehouse College and taught Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King said, "My teachings are Gandhi's teachings." Last week I shared how Martin Luther King had visited India, how he had asked to sleep in the room on the floor where Gandhi on a very small pad would sleep. And no one had ever really been in that room except to clean it. And they gave him permission. It was 8 o'clock at night. He was to leave the next day. His wife and the kids slept on the hallway floor. Now, when I heard that story, I had no idea that Martin Luther King, did you? And Mahatma Gandhi, the teachings were a bridge. Did you know that? I did not. And I was just so moved, I wanted to lay down on that floor. I was just so touched that I was in the presence of that energy of Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, Arun Gandhi, and here was me, an ordinary person. It was so moving. And then we had to leave. And then we went to the next site, and we went to the Taj Mahal, and we went to the ashram, the last ashram that Mahatma Gandhi was at before the Salt March. We stood, and I shared how we stood under the tree where he sat every day with thousands or hundreds of thousands of people praying at sunrise and sunset. And Paul and I stood there with a small group and said those prayers. We went back one more day. And in the kitchen, there's a little stool. And that's where Gandhi would sit and watch his wife and the woman cook. Now, I don't know if it's the same stool, but I wanted to believe it was the same stool. And I sat on that stool. Now, as I was getting ready to leave, everyone else, I had walked the ashram by myself. Everyone else had had a tour. They were in having tea and doing all these things. And I was walking up the steps to walk back into the museum. And out came a woman. And she looked at me and I looked at her. And I was sitting on a step. And she came and sat down on the step next to me. And she didn't really speak English. And of course, I didn't speak her language. But she grabbed my hand. And through broken language, trying to explain, she is the curator of all Mahatma Gandhi's writings. She takes a bus at 5 o'clock in the morning, has prepared her husband and daughter's meals ahead of time, gets on a bus, gets there, spends the day, actually, she feels, with Mahatma Gandhi. It is a labor of love. She's been doing this for 20 years. She said, when I got married, my husband got a job far away, and we moved away. And she said, every morning I got up and cried. I wasn't with Mahatma Gandhi, Babaji, they call him, Babaji. And she said, finally, I begged and begged and begged my husband, and he found a job. We moved back, and here I am. And she grabbed my hand, and she said, Gandhi ji brought you here. I had a bracelet on my hand. You notice I always wear bracelets. I put it on her. I will never forget that moment. Barely able to communicate and knowing we had the same commitment to these teachings. So I share these, and this morning I was crying because they mean so much to me. Arun Gandhi was our friend. We traveled with him. We were in his home. Our dog loved him. My grandkids, he teased with them. Went and visited my mother in her little room. I was getting ready to go, and I said, I'm sorry, I have to. He kept looking at me. I said, what is it? He said, could I go and visit your mother? Now, my mother is the one who taught me about Mahatma Gandhi. Here we are sitting in her little room with her walker, and he's holding my mother's hand, handing her his book, signing it for her. He was the humblest of people, Arun Gandhi, and he only mirrored his grandfather. So I have so many stories, I could talk for 10 Sundays and I wouldn't be able to tell them all. We spent at least a dozen years traveling with him, laughing with him, watching movies, going to the beach, eating so many meals, traveling to India. So, as I pick and choose today, we're on the 5th principle. We started with love. Everything starts with love. The second one was respect. The second principle is always, do I respect you? And why wouldn't I? We're all the same. Why wouldn't I respect you? Why wouldn't I honor who you are? It's a false belief that you and I are not the same. After respect came understanding. That's what really got me. Okay, I might be able to have this ethereal love. I might be able to respect you, but you want me to understand everybody? Now that's going a little bit far. Yes, understanding creates a level field, doesn't it? I understand you. I may not, agree with you. I may not agree with you. I may not see it the same way. So several people have mentioned to me again, remember my example, 6, there's a straight line with a 0 or a 9. To me, it looks like a 6. To you, walking Ginny, it looks like a 9. And to Jeff, it's a B. But wonder if you're coming from the kitchen, how does it look? Or the book nook, what is the angle we see? So our perspectives are different. Do we honor them or do we berate them? Do we honor them or do we belittle them? Big question. We moved into acceptance, my willingness to accept our differences. And today, we're appreciating and celebrating our differences. I call that big work. Big, big work. I appreciate as much as I appreciate my own. Mahatma Gandhi never saw the British as his opponents. He respected them. He understood them. He appreciated them. Mahatma Gandhi was joyous and bubbly and this little guy that just had all this energy, and the British actually liked him. They couldn't figure it out. He didn't yell and he didn't pound his fist, and he just had jokes to tell and just sat there. Now, here's another, I was saying to Paul, I think every time we heard Arun speak, which is many, he used to say to people, Paul and Victoria have heard all these stories. So this is a famous story. One of the ways Mahatma Gandhi kept his ashram and all his work going was through autographs. And people would bring little autograph books you could buy for like a dime, and they would put $1 in it. He would sign it. Now, this was Arun's job, to bring the little autograph books. Mahatma Gandhi would take out the $1, and Arun would take it back. Now, he did this all day long, hundreds and hundreds of people. And he's thinking, well, he's my grandfather. I ought to have an autograph. So he asked his, no, he said, where's your $1? He said, well, I'm your, he said, doesn't matter, everyone's the same. So eventually, after I don't know how long, Arun gets together a nickel or a dime, gets a little autograph book, sneaks it in a pile, no $1. Mahatma Gandhi notices, who gave you this? Who did this? He said, well, it's me. I'm your grandson. He said, put $1 in and I'll sign it. And Arun told hundreds and thousands of people, I never got his autograph. So the story goes and goes, and we want to ask ourselves, we started out, Be the Change. This is a wonderful children's book. If you have nieces and nephews, grandchildren, this is an award-winning book at the end of his life that he worked with several, young artist and an agent, and this is an award-winning book. So if anyone's looking at getting one of these, they're back in the corner. There's 2 of his books back there for children. They're absolutely wonderful. So in the process, we say, so how does this have anything to do with me, Victoria? Because Be the Change. We all signed up for it. We wouldn't be in this room if we didn't sign up to be the change. Now, the challenge is, how active are we at being the change? Can I still carry a grievance and be the change? Can I still carry a hurt and be the change? Can I still carry a disappointment and be the change? Or can I heal that? Can I heal that? Now, how do I heal that, Victoria? That's always the question. Maybe I'm willing, half-heartedly. How do I do that? Well, for me, one of the things I do is I sit with it. I look at it. I write about it. I may meditate or pray about it. I ask Spirit to guide me. How can I loosen the bonds of that which is holding me back? It's not the person who's holding me back. It's not the situation, although I wish I could say that, but it's not. It's me who's holding on to it. Am I willing? Am I willing? Are we willing? Are we willing in this ministry? There are things that have happened in this ministry that were hard, yes? And hurt, and we felt hurt, and we felt disappointed. And we might have a grievance. I don't know any of it. I wasn't here. Can we let that go? Just let it go. Please, 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 let it go. And however you process that is your own work. It's your own work. And I honor everyone's own work. In the energy field that we are talking about now, being the change, and seeing that we appreciate our differences. Now, we love different food. We love different music. We love to travel different places. We like to wear bright green. No one else did. I'm teasing. So those feelings of individuality are important to us, right? And yet we are part of something bigger. We started out with Rumi's quote, beyond. We didn't call it right and wrong. What did we call it? Wrongdoing. Out beyond wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. So if we are to come together as a co-creative process and be part of healing the world, we have to change. They may be big changes, little tiny changes. The willingness to appreciate the differences. Martin Luther King said, it's love, not hate, that will heal the world. Martin Luther King left Mumbai and the building where Mahatma Gandhi did all his work and started planning the walk on Washington. Like this. Now, you and I have the benefit to learn from those people. We have the benefit to learn from their actions. Our actions are small compared to that, but we have the opportunity for action. I want to share a story that flashed through my mind today. Paul and I, every time he was with us over a dozen times in Portland, and he always had different places we were several times at the City Hall in downtown Portland. He'd received the key to the city of Portland and a Pendleton rug. We were at PBS, OPB. We were many places where he was interviewed, big places, little places, all kinds of engagements. The last time he was here, he was brought by a financial investor. Now the financial investor, investment company, he owned a financial investment company. And he had heard Arun when we had him at the Muslim Trust event. So he decided he wanted to bring Arun to speak to all his investors. Now, he also was on the board of Portland State. So we went to Portland State and had a meeting with the board of Portland State and all the individuals that were on the honors group. So then we went to this very swishy private club for lunch. And then we went to the group where the investors were, several hundred people. And I had said to them, why don't you sell Arun's newest book, The Gift of Anger? And they said, we sent that as a Christmas gift to all our investors. Now, I want you to know things are changing. When the investor company sends the gift of anger and brings Arun Gandhi to speak to their hundreds of clients. That is unique, would you say? So I'm going to end with this story. This is a story about the high school we were at that time, Jefferson High School, I think, in downtown Portland. And I had called, this has been Victoria's motto, I just call people. And I have one more story. There's two stories. One more story. So we were at, I made arrangements with the head of the English department, and she approved Arun coming. She told all the, we had an arrangement, signed a contract, blah, blah, blah. And they made sure through the volunteers and the parents club that every senior in their high school got a copy of The Gift of Anger. And they studied it in their English classes for 3 months before Arun got there. Now, Arun spoke, and we were at many high schools with him. They're kids, and he gets in there, and they are standing ovation. every time. Amazing, amazing. They loved him, and he's great with kids. So at the end of this day, we're with 30 people in a circle, all kids, and they represent teams. Teams that are from different areas in their school. So there's a gender team, and there's a racial issues team, and there's a da-da-da team, and there's 30 of them. And you can feel the energy, they don't feel very comfortable being together. So someone asks him, we don't agree. We argue all the time. And he talked to them about working together. And what would it be like if they had a common goal? And they said, well, we have to stand up for our rights. And he said, well, why don't you stand up for everyone's rights? The room got very quiet. Oh, novel concept. And at the end, it was good, and people were talking, and this one tall, blonde kid was standing in shock. And I went up to him, and I said, are you all right? He said, I have always been taught to fight. I have always been taught to stand up in sports, in school, in everything, to fight. And he said, I've never been taught to work together. He said, if we work together, we'll get somewhere. Just like the opened up. He said, what's that called? I said, well, one word is non-resistance. I've never heard that word. It was just like, I can see that young man went on to change so many things. Last story, my story. So all these years I said, I've taught this. And I did big interfaith groups. We went to universities. People came to West Lynn, blah, blah, blah. One day, and I always called it building bridges. One day I realized, Victoria, you have to cross the bridge. How long do you build a bridge? You've never crossed it. Now, my intuition said that means literally we had to go to the other end of Portland. And we had to call the 3rd Avenue Baptist Church on the corner of blah, blah, blah. That is the only place where Martin Luther King ever spoke in Oregon. Cold call. Secretary answers, this is blah, 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 and I'm bringing Wisdom of Gandhi, and I just wonder, well, we would be interested. Long story short. Short story long. Over 1,000 people. People sitting in the aisles, people sitting on the floor everywhere. Free event, sponsored by interfaith groups. OPB was our one who got the word out. It was incredible. Absolutely incredible. Children's choir, Bridge Over Troubled Waters, they sang. He had just been in Thailand, and a children's choir had just sang that. We made it full circle. We did cross the bridge. We did build relationships, and they continue. So what is Unity Salem's job? We're going to do a ceremony next week about bringing peace into our individual lives. I'm now handing it off. I'm now handing off Arun's message. I'm now handing off my passion. Please carry it on. We're going to go into prayer now. You have anything in your lap, set it aside. Put it under your chair. I shake my hands, I wiggle around, shrug my shoulders. Whew, let it go. Let it go. I am. In your own words, in your own way, say that. I am. I am at peace. I am at peace. And we call upon those energies. Mahatma Gandhi, such a teacher, such a model. Martin Luther King, love above hate. There is a field. Yes, we have differences, and we are more alike than not. So I ask today, in your own way, to go to your heart. And that's where love and peace lives. Opening our minds and our hearts. I breathe in and breathe out. Breathing in and breathing out. We stand shoulder to shoulder. In this work. We do it individually. And I heard a phrase this week, a mutual awakening. A mutual awakening to peace. To love, respect, understanding. We sit in a few moments in the silence. And as we leave this room today, may we recommit personally and as a community to being a place of peace, a person of peace, looking beyond what appears to be distracting and celebrating our differences. We ask for the support, the guidance, the wisdom, the willingness to take a step, to cross a bridge, to make a friend. And so it is. Amen.